confirmation from the Washington Mystics that Elena Delle Donne is suffering from back spasms and is questionable to return to this game. I saw people come out of the stands, their team doctor, there's a staff of medical professionals back there helping Elena right now, but she is questionable to return.
2 timeouts remaining for the Sun, 1 for Washington.
Smart. Put your worst free throw shooter as the inbounder.
Jasmine Thomas breaks the timeline. Finds a cutting. Jones lays it in. An exclamation point on a beastly night.
Hey everybody, welcome back into our NBA TV studios. I'm Kristen Ledlow. It's game time. Our WNBA Finals coverage continues with the NBA champion, Steve Smith, and our guest analyst, the Atlanta Dream superstar, Renee Montgomery. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I like it here.
Yeah, you
feel a little comfortable.
Yeah,
Good, you should. We like you having you here.
Oh, you like me having me now, huh? You like it.
I know. Keep the seat warm. Come back.
I'm trying. I'm here. I like
it. Saying. Well, in case you guys were not there, didn't watch Game 2 of the WNBA Finals, let's go ahead and take a look at it. As Washington led the series 1-0 coming into this one, but tough news early on for Delle Donne and the Mystics. Missing this shot, coming down and looked hurt after the play. Now, the MVP would leave with back spasms and did not return to the game.
Yeah,
Coach Mike Tebow then told
Yeah.
us after the game that she'd get an MRI and
back
be evaluated from there.
any back injury is nothing to play with.
The Sun, though, taking the lead behind Jonquel Jones.
The Bohemian Beast.
I mean, but really, look.
I mean, she got some easy ones, but a lot she got off the glass. 32 points, 18 rebounds.
Well, an 18 and 10 at the half. Come on. The Sun would lead the way 56-46. And John Wall and Bradley Beal of the Wizards. They're supporting the Mystics.
That's just great support. I love seeing that.
It's funny because, you know, it's nice when they say they're fans and they actually show up and show their fandom. So they've been there. They've been there a lot, not just on the big games. They've been there. So shout outs to John Wall.
Mystics making a run here in the second half.
Ariel.
Plus the foul.
He has been campaigning for Ariel. Okay, Michigan State, we get it.
Christy Tolliver, though, working her way to the basket, gets the layup
We
to
jealous
go
we're family.
for the tie.
Nice, that's a nice left.
That would tie things up at 76
Ooh,
apiece.
look at the fans, I love it.
Connecticut, though, responding here in the fourth. Alyssa Thomas working inside.
That's the thing about Connecticut. With the engine like Thomas, they're never going to be out. Like, they're always going to keep thinking they're in the game and keep pushing it.
Courtney Williams gets the floater to go.
Courtney Williams is ready for prime time. I'm talking about the outfits,
Right.
on the court, the
Yes.
big buckets, the shades. I'm here for it all.
From the moment she gets out the car.
Right.
But Emma Bieseman trying to keep them in it. 23 points and 8 rebounds in this one, but
She's
just
so good, solid.
too much sun down the stretch.
Ooh, look at that. Right to the chest of the defender.
Thomas inside, and this time kicking it out to Williams, who can do it outside as well. She had 22 points and 6 assists in this game.
Alyssa Thomas's vision, like that's something that we just don't talk about. It's not even just in the fast break, it's in the half court setting. She finds open players all the time.
It would be Jones, though, sealing the game inside and out. She had 32 points and 18 rebounds. As he said,
Beast mode.
those 18, the second best in WNBA Finals history, as Connecticut ties the series, wins at 99-87. And Mystics head coach Mike Tebow spoke after the game about the status of Elena Delle Donne.
I mean, she's just had kind of ongoing late in the season, just tightness, and you know we've been able to treat it, and it's responded pretty well, and she's been okay. But it's the one nightmare I've had for the last month is, you know, seeing her lying on her back. I watched that in 2015 when she was in Chicago, and it wasn't a good sight for them, and it wasn't a good sight for me now. So I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you about it right now, other than it is, you know, an injury, and we're gonna figure it out.
The second question is,
No, I don't know what happened. I don't even know where Deli is right now. So, you know, it's all about who's on the floor at that time, and we have people that stepped up today, and so we just we're rolling with who we got. And this one over here did a great job filling in those shoes.
So Alyssa, game 1, you guys didn't get the result you wanted. Tonight, you made adjustments, especially defensively. What were you guys doing that disrupted their shots because they were getting those ones open in game 1, not tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we were just on the same page from jump. Last game, our first quarter killed us. Every other quarter, we played well. So tonight, we were locked in on defense from jump and got out and ran.
Chrissy, you said you guys are pissed off. What's the difference between pissed off Chrissy Tolliver and normal Chrissy Tolliver?
We will see on Sunday.
We'll see. We will.
Woo! Sunday.
Let's go back, though, to what was said about Elena's injury to Coach Tebow, saying that she will get an MRI following this injury, that it's his nightmare. It has been his nightmare. It is his nightmare. He did, though, say that at the start of this series, he didn't want 4 days between games. And now, perhaps, Renee, it could be an advantage.
Oh, yeah, he needs them 4 days. Coach Tebow, you're going to take those 4 days now. But the thing about it is, with back spasms, 4 days, essentially, I don't know if it's going to change too much. With backs, it's hard. It's difficult because with a knee, you can treat it. You can kind of get down swelling. But with a back, you just never know how you're going to respond to the treatment. So 4 days is great. They'll take it over 2 as opposed to 2. But with 4 days, you just don't know with a back injury.
Yeah, and you're totally right. And then you also have to fly. And I think for them is you got to be very cautious for Adela Don. And you can see, I didn't see anything on that play. It looks like there's something that's just been coming on. Hopefully she'll be okay. But right now for them, game 3, they're going to have somebody else step up.
Let's, though, talk about Alyssa Thomas, because we were watching her highlight in and highlight
Engine
out.
that could.
She became just the 4th player to have 20-plus points, 10-plus rebounds, and 5-plus assists in a WNBA Finals game. She's only the 2nd to do so on the road. And as you'll see here, Elena became the 3rd player to do so in Game 1. Of course, she's joining some pretty elite company there, though. Smitty, what did you see from Alyssa's game?
Straight line driver. She doesn't mind playing through contact. The one thing you talked about, her vision. And I think for them is you know what you're getting from her. She's going to come out there and set the tone. And I think for the Connecticut Sun, I will keep going through her. We know Jonquel Jones can put up big numbers, but I think for her, she's inconsistent. Thomas has been consistent throughout this entire playoffs.
Absolutely. Thomas is your horse. You have to ride her. She's the engine that gets them going. I know they say Jasmine Thomas is their engine, but there's something about when Alyssa Thomas is flowing. It's not just her flowing. When Alyssa Thomas is doing well, that means everyone's doing well. That means she's finding open players. She seems to not get tired. It's really crazy. She's played every minute. And I know Kurt Thomas said he's going to take her out. Don't. Like, change your mind.
Now you have 4 days, right?
Yeah, you have 4 days.
She's resting now.
She's fine, okay? She's going to need to play another 40 minutes because the things she does are the intangibles. It's the blockouts. It's the steals. It's not just the things that show up in the stat sheet. It's her energy. It's her passion. I think, that's who, to your point, they need to ride her. And Jonquel Jones is going to do what Jonquel Jones does, but they need to ride Alyssa Thomas.
Well, this series is now tied at 1 game apiece, and the WNBA Finals continue on Sunday the 6th with Game 3 at 3:30 Eastern on ABC.
We will see.
We will see.
Woo.
That game in Connecticut, and of course, you guys can hang out with us on NBA TV for all the highlights, analysis, and breakdowns afterwards. Now, after the break, we're going to drop in on Media Day around the NBA, starting in Philadelphia. Game Time continues next. Needless to say, expectations are high in Philadelphia. The Sixers held their annual Media Day on Monday, and with old names on new jerseys and different faces in different places, our Jared Greenberg sat down with Al Horford.
It seemed, at least from the outside, that like for a while you knew that this was a good spot for you. What was it about this organization that you felt like you wanted to make the move from Boston to here?
Well, I don't know about for a while. I had, it was a very quick type of process, but looking at everything that they had to offer here, the culture that they had here, and, looking at Ben Simmons, Joel, Tobias, and the future where they were heading, I just felt like it was going to be a good place for me, and being able to play my power forward position, more power forward as opposed to center, was very appealing as well.
We talked a lot about that when you were in Atlanta, how much it meant to you to play the power forward too. To get back to that, and after having to play so much center in Boston, how is it a relief for you? Is that the kind of way to describe it?
It's exciting for me. It's a different challenge. I'm still going to play some center here too, right. But just more minutes at the power forward. It's something that I've always wanted and hoped for. So I'm excited about that.
Al, I know the particulars are very different, but just the comparisons between what you went through going into last year with Boston and how high the expectations were for that team versus the expectations now for this team. What did you learn about the journey last year with the Celtics that you can help make sure things go right this year here in Philly?
Yeah, I learned a lot of things, but one of the things is that we can't get caught up on all the expectations and what people expect out of us. I think one of the things that I learned is that you just have to, come out and continue to work and stick together. And I felt like in Boston we did that a lot of the time, but it was just very difficult to be consistent as we needed to, every night. So that's something that coming into this scenario, I'm looking for our guys to make sure that we're consistent and that we're working hard.
We tend to just slap this label on good basketball players who have been around for a while, that they're veteran mentors. And you've kind of now gotten that. Do you expect to be a leader on this team? And if so, for a guy who we know is not the most vocal guy, how do you do that with this squad?
Yeah, I think, I will, lead the team in certain ways, but I think one of our strengths here is going to be that we already have, some other leaders here as well. Tobias, came in here last year, and he's someone that kind of has a good feel for stuff. And Joel and Ben, we're going to look at them too to kind of show us the way a little bit. They've been here longer than any of us have in Philly. So, but yes, I'll be happy to help lead the group as well.
What then, Smitty, does Al bring to this Sixers squad?
First of all, he brings a professionalism, Christian. We know that. I think also his versatility on the floor. The one thing I would say is an old cliche from Larry Brown. He plays the game the right way.
Yeah.
And I think guys will feed off. And I think for me, as a young team last year, they didn't finish games well. I think Al Horford, usually it's a point guard, but Al Horford can be the coach on the floor for them. He's been through so many different scenarios, and I think for him, he's a common influence for them. I think also he is a guy that if they need him to play the five with Joel Embiid, who's battled a lot of injuries, you can have some load management with Joel Embiid, and he can play that position. But I think because of his passing, his high basketball IQ, he's going to bring that winning tradition to them.
Something. So what I think the thing about this team, their versatility. They have 4 players that might be playing that are 6'10" and above. That's pretty crazy as far as how it can go for defense, who can push the ball. As you said, he can be versatile and play the 5 if Joel Embiid gets hurt. So I think the real thing about that is it gives them not only a coach on the court, but somebody that can facilitate that. Mm-hmm. Because it might be hard at times to play with 4 big players when the NBA is going the opposite way. A lot of times the NBA is getting smaller, but they're actually getting bigger. So somebody on the court that knows and is very communicative, I think he's going to help a lot with that.
Well, you both mentioned Joel Embiid's health, and he somehow showed up 20 pounds lighter, allegedly without doing anything different. I remember being 25. Renee, though, what are your expectations for Joel's season?
I think, everybody remembers the crying meme, right? And I think when things like that happen, that's a fire that gets lit under players. And when you have a heartbreak loss like they did, I think that kind of stays with you in the offseason longer than just a typical loss would. So I looked at him. I know that he even put a post about it, right after the season. Everybody was laughing about him crying, but that just, to me, shows his passion. And that type of passion, you see it in players, it pushes them. So I look for him to have, oh man, they was trying to help him out. I look for them to ride him. He has been unhealthy in the beginning, but he's been healthier pretty much in the latter years.
Yeah, and I think for me, Christian, I think for Joel Embiid, he has to understand how good he is. Whereas he can dominate in about 5 or 6 areas without scoring. And I think for him his mindset has to be, I have to be the most dominant player what the Sixers need at that time. I think for him is sometimes he's so good, he's like, well, let me post up. Let me shoot a 3. Let me pass. But it's what they need at that time. And I think as Al, a veteran, they'll have another guy being able to talk to him and tell him where he needs to go. And that's the next evolution, I think, for Ben Simmons. He's a 6'10" point guard, but no matter what size, I didn't see Ben Simmons putting Joel Embiid in places saying, oh, you got a mismatch pretty much every trip down. You have to post up. I think Al's going to help in that area.
And now Ben has been vocal about his not only desire to take threes, but a different mentality toward his offensive approach. How confident are you in his ability now to make this change?
I think what I'm confident is that a player that's confident shoots better. So he mentioned how the older he got, he learns his work ethic had to get better. So I'm confident that a confident player will shoot better. I have to see it happen. I've seen him. He's been in the gym. I heard he was in there a couple hours earlier than everybody, 7:30, getting some shots up. So I'm excited to see the change because he has the ability to take over a game, even not having shot the ball well last season. So if he adds that to his game, it's going to be tough to guard him.
What stands out to you, Smitty, about the shooting form we're looking at from this offseason?
You know, Renee said, I mean, everybody's form is different. It doesn't have to be picture perfect, but you got to have confidence and you got to put the reps in. And I think for me, even though, you know, I see him shooting these jump shots and this pickup, I think next step for him is wanting the basketball at the end of games, Kristen and Renee, and getting fouled and stepping up to the line and knocking down jump shots. I thought because of lack of free throw confidence, he didn't play physical enough or attacked enough because I didn't think he wanted to get to the line at the end of the games because of his poor free throw shooting. Now that's where we need you more than shooting threes as a guy who's still working on his shot to get into that free throw line and connecting.
How close is this team, as currently constructed, to competing for a championship?
I mean, they're right there. I mean, defensively, I think they're going to be one of those teams that's going to be hard to get buckets. And I think just what Renee said, what they went through last year, sometimes when you get beat, you know, you come back with a different focus, and especially all the scrutiny on Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. I think this is a team right now, they have the confidence and also the memory of what happened against Toronto that they could get back.
Yeah, you hear it all the time from players, that heartbreak loss. A buzzer beater is not something that happens very often on that type of platform. And they all felt it. They felt it hard. All the players that were returning felt it. So I think they're going to carry that chip on their shoulder throughout the whole season.
Well, when we come back, we're going to take a look at James Harden's running one-legged layup from the three-point line. And maybe we're going to come up with a better name for it, perhaps. Don't go away.
One leg up, one leg down.
The NBA's preseason is right here on NBA TV with a triple header on Friday. It all starts in the Western Conference with James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and the Houston Rockets taking on those new-look Clippers. Then Indiana and Sacramento play at 9:30 a.m. Eastern in India. Now, Kyrie Irving is reportedly not expected to play in the Brooklyn Nets game. That one will be at 7:30 Eastern as he continues to heal from a facial fracture. Of course, for scores, highlights, and analysis, in case you don't happen to be awake at these hours, you can visit NBA.com. So earlier this summer, James Harden told us that he was working on a new move.
Oh my goodness.
He told a fan that he was, quote, coming up with something more creative than his step back three. Now, guys, I think that it may have come to be because it happened in a preseason game. Let's get to that, because what is it that we're calling this? The one-legged three-pointer off the dribble? We've got to come up with something more efficient.
Well, if he starts making it consistently, he'll be the one-leg legend, I think.
I like that.
If he starts making it consistently, but you can't miss that shot. Like, it's great when it goes in, but if you miss it, it's like the worst shot
One-legged side stepper.
But do you think that maybe when Dirk started his wrong-legged fadeaway back then, people thought that looks foolish, and then it became, I mean...
Yeah, but it was something we saw in a high percentage range. It was in the mid-post. It was in the post.
Also, so far,
and I think Dirk's was a lack of athleticism. I think his was more of a lack of...
0% so far for this
But you know,
shot.
he works on shots. That step back.
I have no doubt that he's going to make it.
Yes.
That's the thing. On Monday at Media Day, I saw Taco Fall just tower above his teammates, but now he's dunking on them. Look at this.
Yo quiero Taco Fall.
I mean, Vincent Poirier can throw down, but he was nowhere.
Did he jump, though?
We're talking.
Did he even jump?
What are you supposed to do?
Be on a poster. That's the thing. I'm not guarding him in practice for all these posters to get made of me.
Well, and now with cameras rolling,
come on, it's okay, Renee.
It's okay.
You gotta go get.
Listen, that's a problem I don't have to worry about.
No, not at all.
All right, in New Orleans, Lonzo Ball set NBA Twitter abuzz.
I like
new
this.
improved shooting
I do
form.
like this.
This looks smooth. This looks, I mean,
it's not going left to
Well, he's
right.
lost that
It's
hitch
not.
that drew all the criticism. He is still shooting. I mean, he's shooting it quite from the pocket, right?
But the motion is fluid. Like it looks like that. There's way less room for error with that.
And his finish is fantastic.
Oh, he always had that good flick of the wrist.
In news and notes around the NBA, Blake Griffin did not practice in Detroit today due to illness. In Miami, James Johnson has been banned from training camp altogether. The Heat released a statement saying Johnson had failed to meet conditioning expectations and he was welcome to rejoin the team once he did. In D.C., the Wizards have hired former GM and league executive Rod Thorne to serve as an advisor to GM Tommy Shepard. He'll help with free agency, the draft, and basketball.
He's responsible for drafting Jordan, so I mean, automatic.
Basketball mind right
Come
there.
on now.
Well, after the break, he waved goodbye, and the Oklahoma City Thunder were never the same. But what about Shaq? We're
Nursery rhyme spitting, small car sitting, icy hot poster boy TNT snitching.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so let me give you the backstory. Damian Lillard, a.k.a. Dame Dollar. I don't say it as cool as Renee does or he does, but he went on the Joe Budden podcast last week, and he said, among other things, he's a better rapper than Shaq. So Shaq responded with a diss track released to his Instagram saying, well, these things. Again, among other things. One of the things he did say.
Yes, I'm ready for you to read this.
You know what? I'm not going to. Do you want me to read it or rap it, Renee?
Rap it.
Oh, I want to see you rap it. Yes.
Absolutely no.
I pay to hear this.
But I got enough bags, I could buy your whole team. I forgot I own the Sacramento Kings. Well, of course, earlier Tuesday, Dame responded on Twitter saying, okay, I've got to go to practice now. And he dropped a diss track. I mean, all of, a few hours later? My favorite line, though. All the money in the world, but they
traded you for penny.
Woo! Stop.
Flock of flames.
That went so
Listen,
personal.
he's a rapper.
Yeah?
Like, Dame is rapping, right?
Mm-hmm.
It only makes sense that this all started at the Joe Budden podcast, so that's the disc king of the world, so I'm here for it. Here for it all. Here for it.
I just want peace.
Okay.
Well, okay. He doesn't want to be on Shaq's next diss track. That's why he's talking
Listen,
like this.
no shots fired here.
No, I'm not really afraid of anybody. I'm not really.
You sound like it, Mr. Namaste.
Look at him.
Goodness.
Look at him.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, there you go.
Goodness. Oh, my
Bravo.
God.
All right,
all about
Renee.
peace and love.
Smitty.
Peace and love.
I'm Kristen. We'll see you next time.